In Australia, there had been a long, shameful history of killing and massacres of Indigenous Australians occurring throughout the country. This happened since 1788 with the start of British colonisation. The horrific event called the Coniston Massacre marked the end of this tradition. Coniston is located in Central Australia. This is where one of the largest and most impacting massacres of Indigenous Australians took place. The Coniston Massacre started with the killing of a white settler named Fred Brooks. Fred Brooks was a dingo trapper who was found murdered at Coniston Station on the 7th of August 1928. He had been slaughtered with traditional Aboriginal weapons and his body had been cut into pieces and stuffed into a rabbit hole. The first people arrested for the murder of Fred Brooks were two Aboriginal men called Padaga and Akukra, who were coming past Coniston Station to trade some dingo skins. They were shot and captured for being guilty of association. Later on, accounts by Aboriginal eyewitnesses proved that Brooks' killer was another man named Tawalyapa Jakananga, or known by his nickname Bullfrog. Brooks had been camped at a waterhole called Yukuru, near where a Walpari tribe was camped. Fred Brooks had slept with and been caught with one of Bullfrog's wives, and Bullfrog had planned a murder, with other tribe members agreeing to assist him. Soon after the discovery of Fred Brooks' body, there were a series of reprisals undertaken by groups of men on horseback. The men were led by a man by the name of Constable William George Murray, and the groups had non-Aboriginal police and civilians, and also some Aboriginal men. Some of the men who joined the reprisal party led by Murray were John Saxby, Bill Briscoe, an Aboriginal tracker called Paddy, and a few more. The groups were sent to Coniston Station to arrest the murderers of Fred Brooks or any Indigenous Australians who had been spearing the European settlers' cattle. First arrested were two Aboriginal people, but Murray did not stop, continually searching the area. Over a period of months on several separate occasions at a number of different places, Murray's group shot and killed members of the Walpari and Matjia and Katai tribes. There were women, children and also people with nothing to do with the murder of Fred Brooks or the spearing of cattle killed during this time. The official death toll made by white Australians was 31, but Aboriginal oral tradition shows that almost 90 were dead. However, it is very difficult to find an accurate amount, as the killings were conducted separately. The first raid killed around 17 people, the second killed around 14, and etc. It had been agreed that the police had altogether up to 100 Aboriginal people. No charges were ever laid against the reprisal party. This was because there was no evidence to show that what they did actually happened. The Aboriginal tracker had been killed after the murders, and all remaining members claimed that they were acting in self-defense. The impact of the Coniston Massacre was very significant and still affects people today. Apart from the obvious impacts like the amount of Walpari and other Aboriginal tribes killed, there were many greater effects. The Walpari tribe and possibly other tribes deserted their traditional land in fear, causing a massive loss of culture. They would have left behind a lot of their stories and heritage, ancestry and culture. Many of these things may not have been passed on, as many of those killed would have been the elder members of the tribe with most of the knowledge. The killings also upset the landholding, the religious groups, the ceremonial life, the exchange networks, and the religious ceremonies at the time. Many Aboriginals would have developed psychological problems after seeing those killed or learning about the deaths of their family members. The massacre could no doubt still be affecting people in a deep way. A lot of the Aboriginal culture and history was ruined purely by white settlement. Ever since white settlement, there had been over 200 years of bloodshed for Aboriginals. The actions that took place in Coniston are probably the main cause of this, and many Aboriginal people are still trying to forget these today. Although there were many negative impacts, this event also held positive significance. Even though no guilty party was punished, the case was very public. There was an outrage nationally and internationally, ensuring that this culture of massacres must come to an end, and was no longer to be tolerated. The legacy of the Coniston Massacre lives on today. It is a very important event for Aboriginal and white Australian reconciliation, and every year there is a memorial held to tell the sad story to a new generation so that knowledge of the massacre will prevent future tragedies.